Claire Williams, your team will lose Martini as title sponsors at the end of this season. What plans do you have to replace them?
Well, Williams F1 is a very strong team. What?
Nothing. Carry on.
As I was saying, Williams F1 is a very strong team, and we've never doubted our ability to attract sponsors. In fact, with a little help from Sergei Sirotkin, we've already got a new sponsor lined up.
Oh, really? Can you say who that is?
Novichok.
Isn't that a nerve agent?
Yes, and what a nerve agent. And how Russian is that?
Well...
Stop! No, I wouldn't touch that door handle.
What?
You should probably wash your hands straight away.
Oh, my God.
Right, special treat, everyone. We're going out for pizza.
Hello, I'm Gareth. He's a reprobate called Zog.
Hello.
He's a reprobate called Richard.
Hi.
This is Gareth Jones on Speed. What did he call you in the last show? It wasn't reprobate in the last show.
Ne'er-do-wells.
Ne'er-do-wells.
I don't know whether being a reprobate is better or worse.
Richard?
Don't know.
Have we been demoted, promoted?
Bounder? I'd like to be a bounder.
Bounders have more fun.
Bounders. I used to be a bounder, and then I had to sell my jag.
A bounder owns a jag. Yeah. And we had a lovely email, a fantastic suggestion for an idea for something to talk about in the show from a reprobate listener, because I assume all our listeners are reprobates as well. It's the word of the day for me.
Sort of don't even really know what reprobate means. It sounds like something your dad might say as a kind of reprobate.
I think it basically means somebody that's doing something they shouldn't be doing. I'm sure that's not the dictionary definition, but you know what I mean? It's somebody that's...
a reprobate. Naughty. Slightly naughty.
So,
a naughty person.
Suggestion from an listener.
Yeah, Tom Nissen.
And you're telling us that's not a made-up name?
That's not his name. I'm sorry.
It is Thomas Nissen.
Do you know why I'm laughing?
With an EN.
No.
Why?
Do you know why I'm laughing? So much?
David
As in the people who invented the
also
hut.
supported this
Nissan Hut, presumably,
Nissan
was
Huts.
named after he may be heir to the Nissan Hut fortune.
Yeah.
The reason I'm laughing is because the tremendous BBC sitcom, spoof Fly on the Wall show, People Like Us, and there was an immense gag in that. I don't even saw it. It was just too long to explain, but there's a joke in that. It's a Fly on the Wall documentary, and you never see the journalist behind the camera, but you hear him, and he's always a bit incompetent. And he's doing a Fly on the Wall thing about a headmaster, and the headmaster's assistant is reading to him the notes of the day. She says, and also someone's parked a car blocking in the minibus shed. Well, do we know who it is? Well, it says here it's a Greg Nissen. And you hear the journalist behind the camera go, that's me. You're Greg Nissen? No, it's G. Reg Nissen. You're Reg Nissen? No, it's my car. It's a Nissan, Sonny. And the headmaster goes, it's a long time since anyone's called me Sonny. It's a beautiful sequence of events. It's so well written and so well performed. And every time I hit Greg Nissen, just makes me laugh enormously.
I get it.
Sorry, Tom Nissen.
Thomas. Yeah. I thought the hut was invented by someone called Jabba, anyway.
No, pizza.
That's Hut with two T's.
So,
I'm slightly ashamed that I know that. But
Thomas ingratiated himself beautifully in the first line. Love the show. Thanks for the many hours.
No, it's like listening to Steve Wright.
Yeah, it is exactly. And I got beyond that because he had something genuinely interesting to suggest. He said, I thought a topic that might be interesting for the show. Drivers often have to drive road cars made by their teams. Ferraris for Sebastian and Kimi, Mercedes for Lewis and Valtteri, etc. If the three of you were drivers for each of the different teams and had to drive their road cars, which models would you choose and would it influence which team you wanted to sign for? Definitely.
Yeah, because I would have a choice of F1 teams to sign for. But hey, we're playing fantasy games here, so that's okay. We do have a choice.
Apologies if you've discussed this previously. I don't think we have. I mean, my memory's shot. We've been doing this for 13 years or something now, but I don't think we've discussed this previously. So let's work through this, right? We'll start with Sauber, or if you like, Alfa Romeo, as they are pretending to be now. Zoggy, you used to drive an Alfa Romeo, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to have a 2.5 V6 155.
Yeah, that didn't go around corners.
It's in a straight line, though.
Was it the wider arched one or the original slender-bodied one? Because you remember they widened the track and puffed out the arches, sort of almost box arches like a truck.
It was
I think to homologate the touring cars,
didn't
they? Or was it just to make it better generally?
Not sure, but it was half engine, half petrol tank, and and all Alpha. Wonderful.
What would you have?
Actually, no. This is tricky. How many cars are there in the Alfa range at the moment? They only make
5, I think.
Oh, they're 5?
Yeah.
Oh, there are 2, aren't
in
there?
the UK.
I thought
There's
they
the
made
Giulia, the Giulietta,
the GC.
the 4C, and the Stelvio. Not the Stelvio, what's it called?
Yeah.
The Stelvio, and
the Mito.
And the Mito 5.
But I think, I'm pretty sure the Mito and the Giulietta have been deleted from the UK. If not
They're
from
still
everything.
listed.
Yeah, I thought
Are
that.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of cars.
That's
Looking
quite
today.
tragic. God.
So my choice is
Who is buying them?
Giulia, the Mito.
or the 4C. 4C, come on, easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, have you driven a 4C?
Listen, Richard, let me show you what it's written down. No, say what you're going to say, then I'll show you what I've written down here. So
I'll be
wrote this
honest,
down.
I have not driven one, but
I have. Now, I liked it, but I liked it in the way that I thought it was incredibly terrible and really quite hard to control in certain circumstances.
okay, well, but I'm a racing driver who has a choice of F1 to sign for. I can handle it. Come on.
No, it does odd things that even mad racing driver skills can't really control, like tramlining insanely under braking and stuff.
Wow.
It feels very unfinished. I still really liked it.
It feels dangerous,
It had a lot of,
basically. It feels exciting to the point of lunacy.
Dangerous is a dangerous word to bandy around, but yeah.
Yes, fair enough.
I think this is easy peasy.
I agree, it was an elimination thing.
So
for
your
me.
choice is...
Well, obviously, I'm going to insist that they build me from scratch an Arna. Just for comedy value.
The Nissan Arna.
Well, no.
The Alpha Arna.
Not a Nissan, Sonny. It was an Alpha
Nice.
Arna or the Nissan Cherry
Cherry
Europa.
Yeah, Cherry Europe, I think it was. Not
Yes,
Europa.
yes,
Cherry Europe. Yeah.
And I would not really have one of those. It's Giulia Quadrifoglio all the way.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down here as well.
Which I have driven briefly, and it's a tremendous car.
It is a nicely balanced...
Although I wouldn't bank on the thing is also I'd in fact want them to send me 3 Giulia Quadrifolios on the hope that at least one of them would always be working. And I know that sounds like a terrible hackneyed old joke about Alfa Romeos, but I swear everyone I know pretty much who's borrowed a Giulia press car, and you think how carefully press cars are prepared, has had glitches with it.
Whereas my 4C is going to be totally reliable all the time.
Yeah.
Interesting, Richard. I wrote down here, I wouldn't have the 4C because I'd never get it into reverse. Remembering something that you said about trying to get reverse was impossible. You were doing a 3-point turn and you were struggling.
Handbrake it round. What do you need reverse for?
Is that the 4C? No, no,
I
not
thought
that.
it was the 4C you were talking about.
XC40, I had a beef with how long it took. No, because the 4C's a paddle shift, so you press a button. It probably does. It takes a while, I think, to find itself in reverse.
That's what I think
Maybe.
it was. It takes a second to get there. That's what it was. It was the 4C.
Sluggish, yeah.
I wouldn't have the Stelvio because I'd have an F-Pace, because you would.
Yeah, or a can.
Because the Stelvio's a bit slab-sided, I think. F-Pace is a bit more live.
F-Pace SVR.
Yes, correct. I wouldn't have the Mito because it looks like this.
Too small.
Visual
And
gag.
also because it's
I'm doing cross eyes at the moment.
It's a terrible car. It was a
yeah.
terrible car 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't believe they dare to try and sell that car anymore.
I wouldn't have the Giulietta either because it's old.
Yeah.
It's just old. But I would have the Giulia Quattro Formaggi, isn't it? That's what it's called?
Quattro
Formaggi.
Named after my favourite pizza.
4 cheeses. I wanted one in black, but looking at the Alpha website, you can't have one in black. You have to have it in Nero Vulcano, which is black.
I like that. Yeah.
Nero Vulcano.
Yeah.
And if ever a website reflected the car manufacturer, the Alfa Romeo website reflects Alfa Romeo. Have you been on it?
Yes, and it's superficially quite slick, but then it's full of faults, isn't it?
It doesn't work. It breaks down.
There's a wonderful thing. All the Giulias and the Stelvios have essentially brake-by-wire.
Yeah.
And Alpha call it, I think, integrated braking system or IBS. And
Which
on their
is in
website,
no way-
there's a whole tab that
in
says
no way
IBS.
is an awkward,
Learn more about IBS. And you're like, why are you calling your brakes IBS? It makes it sound like they cause you to shit yourself.
It's got this thing on the site where you click on the car once you've chosen the colour in your configurator. And this little hand comes up, and if you scroll up and down, you get all the options change on the address bar at the top. You know, power, dynamism, fist, I don't know. And nothing happens. Nothing happens.
No.
Absolutely nothing happens. So there we go. Thomas, we decided on our Sauber, which is an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy a Sauber road car, can you?
Go, what's from my Giulia, all
There
the
you go.
way.
Yeah.
Great car,
Or a 4C.
when it's working.
Right then.
Don't come crying to me, Zog, when you're
I know,
disappointed in your 4C.
Tricky one next. Toro Rosso.
Okay, well, so it's a Honda engine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honda engine. Yep.
So I'm taking NSX, yeah. Easy choice.
No, not an easy choice. The obvious choice...
Or, to put it differently, the correct choice, if I may.
I'm sorry, I think you'll find the correct choice.
Other less correct opinions are available.
Yeah, there is nothing that is going to be...
Come on, yeah.
Oh, yes, there is, babies.
Make your case. Come on, what do you want?
Don't say Civic Type R, because it's not...
No, the Civic Type R...
shooting brake. He's not on a state or something.
The Civic Type R is one of those cars where the designer keeps adding bits and fiddling with it. And he said, no, stop now. Stop. And it's actually got to be bigger than the Accord these days. The Civic, it's enormous. I'm not a fan. I'm really not. But I think if you're going to have a Honda, you wouldn't choose it from the Honda UK website. You'd go to honda.jp and do this.
Isn't this against the rules?
No, I'm sorry, it was not stipulated in the rules that you couldn't do this.
Okay, all right,
so,
okay. So,
Honda then.
Japanese domestic market.
I would go to the Japanese website, please go to the Honda Japanese website and click on the translate button. It's marvellous. The names of the cars available, so much more interesting than the Hondas available in the UK. I promise you. The following choice I made.
The Honda Squid, which is shaped like a triangle. And you can fit two of them into a very small parking space anywhere in Tokyo.
It's pretty much like that, actually. I went for the S660.
Ah, yes.
Which is practically the Beat.
Yeah.
We'd have one of those, wouldn't we? You can't buy it in the UK, but bang, I'd have one of those, definitely. Or
still NSX.
Yeah.
Or a racing driver.
I mean, that's a good
maybe
call.
they'd give you one of those as well.
NSX.
Or I might have the Clarity fuel cell, because I'm a modern fuel cell kind of guy. You'd have one of those.
What does it look like? What's the Clarity?
It looks bloody awful.
It does look poor.
Okay.
But it is a hydrogen fuel cell car, so you'd have
it's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, so some cool tech. Yeah,
or
that's nice.
I might go for either the Legend hybrid, because pretty much every car is available as a hybrid version in the Honda Japan range now, or best of all, the Vezel crossover. And sometimes it's written Vezel, sometimes it's written Wessel. I don't know if that's a function of the translation algorithm that Firefox uses or whatever my browser is. But it's a car we don't have over here. It looks like the Citroen, is it the DS Crossback? What do they call it?
DS7.
DS Crossback, wasn't it?
The new one.
In the last series of Prime Suspects.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yes. Needless to say, there's a much wider selection of Hondas available than those available in the UK. So the jury's still out, but I might go for the
NSX. Come on.
NSX.
Still.
No, you're wrong. Okay, right, here's a tricky one. Williams.
Well,
okay, if we're going through all the teams, I'm just thinking ahead here. Am I allowed to pick two different Mercedes when I pick one for Williams and then I pick one for Mercedes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have a Mercedes engine.
Yeah. And does it have to be a contemporary Mercedes, or can I get one out of the museum? Can I get one out of the Mercedes museum?
We'll allow a museum one.
I think you've got to win a race first, and then they might
well, you know,
and let's be honest, you've got a Williams, so...
In this world where I have a choice of F1 teams to sign for, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win my first race, so no problem there. Yeah. Okay, for my Williams ride, then I'm going to have a 450 SEL 6.9.
Oh, yes.
Classic.
James Hunty styley. Was his a 6.9 or maybe not? He might have had a 300. Anyway.
Don't know,
yes,
but
late
70s Mercedes supercar. And just one of the most beautiful, imposing, fantastic engineering, super quick. And as long as someone else is paying to repair it, that'd be a spectacular ride.
Well, you've got the workshops of Williams Engineering at your disposal.
There you go.
As their star driver.
Oh, they could even
problem solved.
And of course, you'd have it in Martini colours, wouldn't you?
No, not an
I don't know. I think that wouldn't be right for a. No.
They do that sort of green colour. There's a kind of metallic-y. Sort of like, I'm trying to think what it's
Ivy.
like.
I think I'd want sort of quite a low-key, classy colour, like a really sort of just maybe a nice deep blue. Really
a Williams blue.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Like the Cosworth period Williams.
Yeah, I don't want to be too flash. I've already been flashing up by driving an old 70s Mercedes supercar, so that's my pick.
Richard, your choice?
Well, now Zog said that, I'm going to have the same. Except, I'm going to take mine to that place in Germany, they're Mechatronic, who put modern AMG engines into old Mercs. And I'm going to have them put... No, I don't want, like, mega power. I'd have one of the old, last generation, naturally aspirated AMG V8s or something in there. Nice, burbly... rich, torquey sort of engine. And then, they can just uprate the brakes a little bit, but, it looks stock. Just sort the suspension so it's definitely a bit more tied down if I do get a clip on, even though I'm a racing driver, obviously. And I'll have that. And I'll have it in, I don't know, I will have it in the green that I'm thinking of. It's sort of not emerald, but it's in that sort of end of the green. It's just lovely.
Would you perhaps, as it's green, have some white on it and have Saudia?
No. Stop this. Stop putting logos onto a beautiful old saloon car. Honestly.
Just trying to tie it back to the car.
They're so the race perfect, car. Aren't they? There's something
right.
so majestic about them, so stately. Yeah. And yet, because they're big engine, there's something a bit naughty about them at the same time. In the same way, Jaguar XJR's a bit naughty.
They're kind of half like a really, really sophisticated ambassador who's been in the job for years and is super slick, and half a hooligan.
Yeah.
It's kind of 50-50.
Bank jobs.
Semi-hooligan.
Getaway drivers, yes.
My choice wouldn't be Mercedes. I'd go for the Williams side of things, which means I could have a Clio Williams. Do you remember the Renault Clio Williams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, that's a
great car, one of the greatest hot hatches of its day. But it isn't what I'd actually have. That was one of the possibilities I considered. I wouldn't even have, what was it called? The Jaguar CX-75, which I believe was developed by Williams for Jaguar.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, it was Williams Advanced Engineering, wasn't it, who did that?
But this has to be a proper Williams car rather than a Mercedes.
They were going to build it. When Williams set up Williams Advanced Engineering, they built a whole new factory at Grove, and they were going to build that Jaguar for Jaguar in Williams' factory, and then at the last minute it was cancelled. So I think it counts as a Williams. If it would have existed, it would have been a Williams. But I didn't even go for that. The car I went for, I bet you've not even heard of, and it's a Williams.
Okay, this has to actually exist, given that you've just almost picked a car that never existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there are two. There are two. You can either go for the Nissan GTR Nismo 500, which Thomas Nissan would rather enjoy, with a slightly different, because Williams developed the aero kit and a lot of the stuff on the Nismo GTR. Did you know that?
It's a bit of a reach. Come on, this is develop the aero kit. Yeah. This isn't made the car.
Well, in that case,
Patrick
I'd go...
Head once shouted at one. So that makes it a Williams.
I would go for the FW EVX.
Of course. What?
I love it.
FW EVX.
In September 2017... Williams announced that they developed a car called the FW EVX. Look it up.
It is an electric vehicle?
It is an electric vehicle. It is a platform, a kind of skateboard platform for an electric car with chassis, motors, battery system, which they developed for Formula E, remember, electric stuff, inviting people to perhaps become coach builders and put bodies on it.
Does it exist?
No. There is one, so yes.
Okay, when you say there is one,
I don't think it actually works. I remember this, and it was a lot of CGI. But I've just thought of something completely spectacular, Zog. I'm cancelling the order for my old S-Class, even with the mechatronic engine. Williams are doing that mega engine for Singer Porsche and developing the next generation Singer thing. It's happening now. They've got a couple of mules knocking around in the UK. I met a Singer bloke at the Geneva show last month. He's a British guy, but he was out in Los Angeles where Singer are based. But he's now come back to the UK to oversee the Williams Singer project.
Because
Chris Harris, Monkey Harris, and
he loves a Singer.
And Marino Franchitti, a slap-headed racing expert. Hi, Marino.
Hello, mate.
They're doing the development work on it, development driving
Fantastic.
on it. And it's all happening in the UK through Williams. So I'm having one of those.
Bada
boom. Sorry about
choice.
the
That's cool.
I'm surprised, Zog, you missed out an opportunity. What was the name of that Porsche Carrera GT with the flybrid that was developed by Williams? I thought you'd have gone for that.
The one that...
Not necessarily a practical road car.
I was going to say, that was a race
at least it exists.
Exactly.
Pretend electricity skateboard.
Yes. Yeah, at least it exists. And you could probably make it road legal. Could you make it road legal? Yeah, probably.
Elon Musk, you're saying Tesla Model 3 production here at your factory is now at over 2,000 units a week?
Yeah, that's correct. We've taken a radical approach to solving certain production issues, and the Model 3 now rolls off our line every 170 seconds. Well, look, here comes one now.
What was that sound?
Nothing.
But it...
Guards!
Step Central! With Gareth Jones on speed!
We are discussing what cars we would have, thanks to Thomas Nissen, who wrote to us suggesting that if we were Formula One drivers and drove for a team and had to drive a car sanctioned by the team, which car would it be? Which team would it be? Right, next one. Oh, this is a really interesting one. Haas. If you worked for Haas, drove for Haas, who have Ferrari engines...
Well, so they're sort of like a shadow of Ferrari.
Yeah.
Which is Maserati.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'd probably have a...
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, no, wait, they still make the Grand Coupe. There's a version of that that's quite good. Well, I can't remember, it's the S, but yeah, there's one of those that's quite good, except the brakes. I had a real moment in one, in fact, on a road in France. Well, because some other, Anne Helmswright from Evo had been driving it before me and had cooked the brakes, and I got to the first corner, which was a hairpin, and thankfully going uphill, but actually still on the flat at the sort of bottom of the hill. It was the first hairpin we turned and started to go up, and brakes, nothing, and I'd been on a straight bit of road, so I'd got a bit of a lick on.
Horrible feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, really unpleasant feeling. But apart from that, a lovely car. So I'll be happy with one of them.
Good choice of Maserati. I think I'd always have a Maserati over a Ferrari. It's a bit less show-offy.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, in principle. It's just that generally Maseratis aren't that good these days. The Ferraris are really good. But yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
Ghibli,
What, the 80s Ghibli?
Oh, no, I'd have one of those. Or a
the bi-turbo.
Merak or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have one of those.
Oh.
Well, okay, I'm going to go with... I wouldn't kick the Maserati out of bed, but I think maybe... I'm going to go with an actual Ferrari. I'm going to go with the Portofino. I think a nice open top. Yeah, like pretty open
They've
top
done
Ferrari.
very well with the name of that car, because Portofino is one of the most beautiful places in the world, apart from Portmeirion, which is the next Ferrari. Oh, it's exquisite, utterly exquisite. And I can't help but think of that place when I think of the car. So even if the car's rubbish, the fact that it's called the Portofino makes it great.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah. But that's not what I'd go for.
It goes and looks, yeah.
I definitely,
your choice would be?
Well, I'd go with Richard's policy of a Ferrari which isn't a Ferrari. And the most Ferrari car that was never a Ferrari was the Dino. Until 1976, was it? There were no Ferrari badges on Dinos. They were just called Dinos. And I would have the, what was it, the...
You're going to have a convertible or the coupe?
The 246 GTS.
Oh.
Tony Curtis Persuaders. Zog.
Yep.
Flawless.
Beautiful.
Chairs and flares.
Beautiful.
Would you agree,
Yes.
Richard?
Yeah.
There could be no better choice than that.
can't
Dino.
complain about that.
Cars.
Yeah.
They used to be, in relative terms, quite cheap, but now they're not. Because they're insanely expensive. It's a bit of a shame.
My mate Rob has got a Fiat Dino convertible that we drove to Le Mans in a few years ago.
Yeah. Nice car.
Good.
Wow, the number of people who... I don't think I've ever been in a car going to Le Mans where people have pulled up alongside and gone, great car, because they know.
I think that's one of my favourite designs of all time.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely love them. And the coupe, actually, was it one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Anyway.
Right, good. So that's your Haas,
That's
which
your
in my
Haas,
case
yep.
is a Dino. They should brand the engine the Dino rather than a Ferrari, shouldn't they, in the Haas? Okay, McLaren. Richard, you go first this time.
Just any of those modern McLarens are lovely. I'd have one of those. I quite like
Yes, but which one? That's the question. And why?
Thing is, if I'm an international F1 driver, do I still live in my house? And do I still live in North London?
yeah,
I have to
it's
park on
only
the
the-
street.
yeah,
So
yeah.
nothing else in my life has changed. It's
No.
just that every other Sunday I have to go.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids, I can't go to the park today. I've got to go and drive in the French Grand Prix or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And you get in your car, which is parked outside, which is
All right, I'm going to have a McLaren 570 GT, but with the new S pack. Just
Ooh.
apparently slightly sharpens it up a bit, but with that nice opening glass pack.
So what's wrong with the, what's it called, the P1 or
Well,
the
it's just not-
Senna
it's not practical, is it?
GTS?
It's
or-
a speed bumps
Just
round
a
our-
bit too mental, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Senna.
A bit too mental.
Yeah.
A bit mental's all right, but
Yeah,
a bit
yeah, a bit
too
mental,
mental's too
And the
much.
Senna is just too extreme for driving through Finchley, and is also, I think, goppingly horrible to look at.
They're doing a slightly lower spec version of the Senna, the Bruno Senna,
Yeah.
I believe now. Yeah, look forward to that. Zog, your choice. You're a McLaren driver.
I think Richard's right, actually. The
Just nice, isn't it?
570 hits the sweet
Yeah.
spot.
The 720 is probably very good as well. But,
yeah. Any of those McLarens would be more than okay.
You're both
but-
wrong.
Well, they're not going to give you an F1, so because you could.
Oh, God,
Well, they haven't got
Richard!
any, have they? I mean, they
They're
don't
a
make
little
them
bit,
anymore.
Yeah, they're a bit
And
thin
it's
on
a
the
bit-
ground these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Although I
had-
did see one driving past just last
you?
week. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because
Crikey.
why would you have any other car as a McLaren other than an F1, really?
Because it's got to park outside my house in North London.
And because they're giving you one for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you'd sleep in it. You would. You'd sit in that middle seat of
So
the
I don't
F1.
see my children every other weekend because I'm now a racing driver.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I can't put them to bed because I've got to sleep in my stupid F1.
Yeah, but you'd have an F1.
The
And also because
the
Keith
McLaren
down the
F1
street is
good
terrible at
at many
parking. He might
things.
nudge it even with me inside it.
I mean, you know,
You'd kill Keith.
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
But he's a nice enough guy.
That makes no odds. You've got an F1. What's more important in the world? Driving a car designed by Gordon Murray where you sit in the middle, or your children, or killing someone?
You don't sleep in the middle. I'm guessing that is one of the things that car
Yeah.
doesn't do quite so well.
Well, you could probably ask the factory to take
affording
out
you-
one of the side seats and put in a sort of a small mattress.
Yeah, you could probably curl up. You'd have one of the, yeah, if you
See?
took one of the seats out and curl up in
Prove
the back.
once again
Yeah,
that I'm
maybe.
right. It's
Maybe.
an F1. Yeah. Okay, next one. Force India. Now, this is tricky. Mercedes engines. Oh, I could see the thought process on Zog. What would it be? Another Mercedes? Well, Zog's working it out. Richard, what would you do?
Well, hang on. I'm going to get another Mercedes when we get to Mercedes. So for this Mercedes, I'm assuming I'm keeping all the cars that we've gone along the way. So my wife's got a Mercedes GLC in real life, not in my racing driver life, and it's a perfectly decent car. We both quite like it, and it's fine. But I just saw they've just announced a fuel cell GLC, which seems quite interesting.
I didn't know that.
I don't think it's coming to the UK at the moment because there's not enough hydrogen infrastructure, but it will be available limited numbers in Germany and other places. So I'll have one of those and give it to my wife.
Good
'cause
choice.
I think that's quite interesting. And I'm keeping it, though, when I leave Force India and go to Mercedes, and I'll have something more interesting there.
Zogger?
I think as I'm acquiring so many cars all of a sudden, I'm thinking maybe I should have one slightly more sensible kind of saloon car to run around town is. So I think maybe I'm just going to have whatever the current top of the line S class is. I'm not quite sure.
S65, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you just want an S500, or 550, whatever it is now? Just a nice civilised S class.
Have they
Yeah,
stopped doing
just a nice
They
straight,
are nice.
regular, straight.
But I think I said on the show a bit ago, because my
They're
wife's
nice.
GLC got dinged by someone. It went to the body shop to be fixed up, and we had an E-Class hire car, just a Bogo E-Class 220 diesel. And it was so nice. Just a nice car. Really. I just went, I don't know. Those cars are satisfyingly pleasant. It was one of those. It's not exciting. I don't sort of dream about, I wish we still had the hire car. But every time I drove it, I just went, this is nice.
Yeah.
I drove the hybrid S-Class a few years ago on a Mercedes test day, which shouldn't have been able to do what it could do with a 2-litre engine and a bit of hybrid. But
Fly.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was remarkable. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad choice. It wouldn't be my choice if I was a Force India driver.
What would you be having then?
A Gen X Tata Nano.
Gen X.
That's the latest version
Does that have
of
a
the
Mercedes-
Tata
But
Nano.
they've just
Does
stopped.
that have a
They
Mercedes
are
engine?
stopping making it, are they?
They're stopping very soon. The latest version is called the Gen X. I
I
think they sold about 7,000 last year.
They-
were projecting 250,000 every year.
There's
weren't they?
there was some claim I just read last week, I think, that they are still making them, but they're making like 3 a day.
Yes.
Which is, I suppose, pretty much the sort of
Just
hand building
from
them, to use up the bits. I
a
don't
few
know.
more bits they've got lying around
yeah.
the place.
It
What are
won
they?
loads of
It's
awards. It just
but
didn't
it's
catch
absolutely
on.
tanks. No one wants one. I
want
would
one.
love to drive one.
Me too. That's
I would
why.
be love to drive one.
Interesting what it's like, yeah.
Richard, that thing you do with Johnny, Sniff and Smith.
Yes.
You drove his Polski Fiat 126
Yes, we
recently,
did, yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Which you loved, you enjoyed.
I did, yes.
Yeah. I want the Nano for exactly the same reasons
Yeah.
as exactly the same reasons. It's only got 36 brake horsepower.
I wonder if we could get a Nano. Where could we get one from? India. We could get one imported from India.
Buy it cheap. They're selling them cheap, aren't they? They're supposed to be 1,000 baht, weren't they? Was that what it was?
No, they were going to be. Was it
Grand.
1.5 lakh?
Lakh, not baht. Lakh. Yeah, sorry.
Which is 1,500. No,
Was
wait.
about
Was it
£3,000, I think.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
500 quid each. We could have one.
And also
please.
the right-hand drive anyway, because
Yeah.
so we would work well here. Let's get a Nano.
I mean, who wouldn't want a
I wonder
car
if there's any Nanos on eBay.
which doesn't have a boot to save money? If you want to put stuff in the boot, you have to put it over the back seat. There is no external opening. How much do you love that car? I mean, it's a very
simple, practical.
minimum automobile.
Yeah, I'm all
On the
for
other
it.
hand, you are now a top-flight racing driver
Yep.
who's driving around in one of the world's cheapest and slowest cars. I mean, I know James
can
Hunt
make
did it with the Austin.
I'm a
van,
racing
but-
driver. I can make
but,
it go quick.
The old Cinquecento was always a big favourite
There you
of
go.
racing drivers, and that's a very
Yeah, do you know-
simple, cheap car.
There was a Schumacher or Seicento version,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
yeah.
There would be a Perez version of the Tata Nano.
If anyone's out there who's got a Tata Nano in the UK, there was some
Yeah,
bloke
tell us
who
what it's
drove
like.
From
drove
India.
on back from
Yeah.
India, and it was featured in Autocar. I wonder what he's done with it now.
How much would it cost to import one from India?
Don't know.
Not very much.
Don't know.
Just the
600 quid?
Yeah.
Shipping cars around is not as expensive as you think.
Although it would probably cost about 1,500 quid to pass the SVA test. It's about 1,500 quid these days.
Well, I do vaguely know someone who's an engineer who was working for Tata's technology campus in Warwick. He's just changed jobs and he's left. I'm going to ask him if they've got any nanos up there.
Let's have one.
Yeah, drop them a line.
We love it. Okay.
All right.
That was an exciting one. We enjoyed that, didn't we? The Gen X Nano. I mean, it's also... Sounds like Billy Idol drives it. Yeah, yippee-yi-yay. Billy Idol, Gen X. Right. Right. Renault. You drive for Renault?
Okay.
What do you drive if you drive for Renault?
I'm going to have a Twizy, actually.
Good choice.
Honestly, there isn't really anything in the Renault range that particularly excites me. And I think that Twizy, odd-looking as it is... A little electric run around for town.
Because you've still got all your other cars that you've got.
Yeah, I've still got all the others.
But I'm going to say something and you're going to regret this now that you've chosen the Twizy. Because Renault also makes the Alpine A110.
Yes, okay. I had forgotten about that. You're
One of
right.
those. Problem solved.
No, I'm still having the Twizy.
Fine.
Where do they actually
because
build
I've got
it?
loads of
What
other cars.
factory do we know?
The Alpine.
yeah.
Dieppe.
It is a Renault factory, the Dieppe
I
factory,
think so. I'm saying that because that's where Alpines were always made. But
That's true.
and that's where they were lastly
yeah.
making the Renault Sport versions of Clios and Meganes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be it then, because it's probably a lot of commonality there, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's a good choice, Richard. Good choice. I went electric like you, but I went for the Zoe because as much as I love the Twizy, it's only got a 50-mile range.
You two are racing drivers. What are you doing?
I'm driving around London.
We need something to pop down to the supermarket.
That's a good point.
I
We still
live
live in
in
that. I
this
keep forgetting
house.
we still live here.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
still live
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we're still in London.
My Zoe would be the signature nav R110 or R110 battery version. About 20 grand.
Sorry, there's a little diversion. I drove the new Nissan Leaf the other
Yep.
week, which is great. You know, and I used to have a Leaf, and it
Yeah.
made me miss the fact that I don't have an electric car anymore. And I started idly looking around for a cheap electric car. And of course, there's quite a few cheap Zoes out there, but they're all still tied to that battery lease program.
Yes,
and I was thinking, is there any more stupid idea than that battery lease thing they were trying to do? Because it just makes them second-hand cars as they get to the sort of £4,000 mark. It makes them sort of almost unsaleable because you're going, well, it's not a £4,000 car; it's a £4,000 car plus £100 and something pounds a month.
Yeah.
Or, I think they start below that, but
It depends
you're
which
in
one you
hock
have,
for your
yeah.
battery lease.
But
And apparently the car trade hates it because they have to do all this paperwork to transfer the lease to themselves and then to a new owner.
yeah, and
Idiotic.
you can understand them hating that. But on the other hand, there are some issues of kind of long-term battery ownership.
Yeah, but generally the batteries, certainly in Leafs, have turned out to be pretty durable. And they have an intrinsic value even if they're missing cells. In fact, Nissan is doing a whole project to use old Leaf batteries to bring electricity to places where they've lost their power because of natural disasters and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could have your Zoe in Yttrium Grey. I looked into it. They do 2 greys, and they do this fantastic, almost matte Yttrium Grey. I mean, it looks like a primer, like it hasn't been painted yet, and I like that. I think that would be very cool. I love the Zoe.
Street look.
Drove one. I thought it was great. In some ways, better than the Leaf, because it didn't look as weird.
It's certainly better looking than Leaf.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
better size for the city.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's quite a nice, neat little car.
Okay, right, get to the big boys now. Big boys. Red Bull. Now, if you were driving for Red Bull a few years ago, you might have the choice of a Renault or a Nissan or an Infiniti. These days, you could have a Tag Heuer, is that a car? Or you could have an Aston
You can have an Aston Martin. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to have an Aston Martin, please, Bob.
Yeah.
And which one would you like, Mr. Zog?
Well, in a sense, it doesn't matter that much because they do all look the same.
Oh,
well, now.
they did.
Okay,
until
they did.
recently.
Yeah, no, there we go. I think I'd go for the Vantage GT12,
Yes.
GTR12.
Yes,
the
GT12 is the little outgoing Vantage shape.
Yep.
With
Yeah.
the V12 engine. Yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
big wing on the
that
back.
would be tremendous.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking, have you seen that
they may only
Rapide
be making-
AMR, which is the Rapide, which I've always had a soft spot for.
Oh, yes.
That sort of, not many people seem to, but I've always liked them. And they did this sort of racy up version of it with lime green stripe on it, and it's so absurd. I absolutely loved it. But a DB11's nice.
It is.
all
DB11's
nice.
nice. And then my first outing as the driver for the Red Bull team, I win the race somehow. And they're so pleased. They say, "Hey, look, what do you really want?" And I'll go, "Well, do you remember?"
One of those Vulcans. Or...
I'll have
No.
because I've got to park it outside my house. haven't
Oh,
I?
okay. Yeah.
Ooh, what about the Bulldog? Remember the Aston
Oh,
Bulldog?
yes,
or not?
William Towns. Wasn't
Could
it?
you get that going again for me and
Yes.
put the new V12 in it or something? I'll have that. Or a sort of late 70s or 80s Vantage,
Yes,
V8
yes.
Vantage,
Prince Charles edition.
Prince of Wales spec. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely lovely. I'd have one of those. if they could see this fit. And they do sort of occasionally sell them through their work service. And hang on a minute, though.
Well, but if you
what
don't
about a Vanquish, an old shape Vanquish, a proper Ian Callum Vanquish,
Boys,
with a manual gearbox conversion from work service?
Boys,
I'm still going for my GT12.
I can't believe it. Very, 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 very valid decisions, choices here. I cannot believe that neither of you suggested...
Well, the old DB4 Zagato would be the car.
Vanquish Zagato V12. Double bubble. Come on. Why would you have any other Aston Martin other than a
Vanquish Zagato? You mean the new
Vanquish Zagato?
Oh.
Why would you have anything else other than that?
Because they make lots of other really nice cars.
Yeah.
I don't find that one that pretty. It's nice. I do like it, but
it's not the most beautiful Vanquish ever. There were prettier ones.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, the most beautiful Zagato ever.
If you're a driver for them, you could have one of those DB4 GT lightweight recreations they're doing at the moment.
That's the
agony of choice.
Have you seen the Aston Martin website, by the way? I did some proper research on this for the first time in ages.
You're letting the side down.
Sorry. I was inspired. The Aston Martin website, I remember in the past we took the mick out of, what was he, a keen harpist? Video that they made. The new website's a bit like that. It's sort of a bit esoteric, but the video, full screen video, works instantly and really well. But I was suckered for the Vanquish because it's driven around what I think is Lake Como in Italy by a woman in pink high heels. And I just thought that was beautiful and beautifully cool. And it's a Zagato. Why wouldn't you have a Zagato? Double bubble, pink, beautiful, lovely. And also, while I was looking at the Aston Martin website, they do this thing called the Art of Life. Do you know about that?
No.
In the way that if you own a Porsche, you get invited to Porsche club things where
special
you can
events,
go and drive in Scotland. Aston Martin do this sort of thing, and the top of their range of things is a trip to Le Mans. With helicopter transfers and trip to the garage and Aston Martin branded golf carts to take you to the garage and all that.
I assume that to qualify for this, you would have had to have bought a new Aston Martin fairly recently.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you also actually pay for these things.
Exactly.
My brother used to do them for Bentley and for Jag, and he used to go and get to dick around in Bentleys to plan the routes and stuff like that. And then they were charging their clients thousands of pounds for them, and people were happily paying.
The Le Mans trip is a few quid short of 10 grand.
Really?
Per person. In for two people. If it's a single person, there's a premium on top of that.
Wow.
But if you can afford an Aston Martin Zagato, you'd be prepared to spend 10 grand on a weekend at Le Mans, would you? Okay. Ferrari. You're a Ferrari driver. You are Kimi Räikkönen, you are Sebastian Vettel, and Richard, you would drive what?
I'm going to ask them if they've got any 458 Speciales left over.
Oh,
because I know there's that new, I know there's that new 488 Pista, and I'm sure
need
it's
for bad language.
But it's turbocharged, and I bet it's great. But the 458 Speciale may well be the most exciting car I've ever driven, and the most able car I've ever driven.
Really,
just mind blowing. Well, that and the
that's a convincing
997 GT3 RS Gen 2, just two sort of quite raw, bare bones cars, and I'm normally not mad about cars like that, but actually they're both absolutely intoxicatingly brilliant. So yeah, I'd ask them to find me one of those.
Nice.
Buy back James Mays or something, because you know it won't have been ragged.
Zog, your choice of Ferrari?
Well, that 488 Pista would be quite nice, but I think I'm going to go for the new 812 Superfast.
Oh yes,
I rather like the idea.
Terrible name.
But it's a V12 front-engined Ferrari in the grand old tradition.
Yeah,
it's got like almost 800 horsepower as well, isn't it? It's like, that's a lot.
No wonder it's called super
It's
fast.
It's nuts. Yeah, I think that would do me nicely.
Now, what's your power of deduction like working together? Can you reason out what my choice would be as a Ferrari?
Lancia Thema 832.
No. Isn't there a shooting brake in the range at the moment?
Oh, there is, isn't there? Yes, the GT4
Lusso or something.
Yeah, thank you. Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I gathered, because I drove that as the FF, and I didn't really like it very much at all. I thought it felt too big, and it was just, I did lots of things I just didn't enjoy it. It was weird. And I drove on some beautiful roads as well, but it just didn't hit the spot. But I gather that the new V8 powered two-wheel drive one is brilliant.
Really?
It's really nice. Well, I gather the V12 one is much better now as well. But that four-wheel drive system is really odd. Really doesn't feel four-wheel drive and works on a principle of slipping the clutches. It has a 2-speed gearbox at the front and it relies on slipping clutches. And I just feel as if you have
throwing power away.
Yeah, if you have mechanical sympathy, you just think that sounds awful. So anyway, but the V8 gets rid of that. It's only two-wheel drive. It's lighter and it's almost as fast and
that is Gareth.
It's still massive, though.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. That would be my choice.
It doesn't get any smaller as a shooting brake.
And, of all the cars, it's the only shooting brake I chose, which is,
Oh, I thought you were going for the Aston. You're not having the shooting brake Zagato, then? That's just the...
I didn't realise there was a shooting brake version. No!
Yeah, there's a 3-tiered range of those Vantage.
No!
Yeah, there's a Cabrio, Coupe and shooting brake.
No!
I think it's £840,000.
That's okay.
But you're still getting it for free. So
That's fine.
Guess what else is paying for it?
I didn't see this.
Yeah,
I thought I'd done enough research. Clearly, I didn't let the side down by doing enough research. Okay, Mercedes. You drive for Mercedes-Benz. What car do you drive?
Well,
I'm doing a long search.
I'm just going straight for the Mercedes-AMG GTR in some fairly loud colour, I think.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day in a ridiculous green that really put a smile on my face. It was quite a silly green colour, but it kind of worked. It kind of worked. Yeah, I'd have that.
Good choice. Richard?
I don't know. I'm sort of tempted just to have like an E63 because I quite like that it's a bit underplayed and also it can be a big sort of fat boy barge if you want it to be. Yeah. And it can also drive like a nutter. I'm guessing they could give me a new one every 6 months, so I'll have one of those, and then maybe I'll have a GTR like yours for a bit. And then, I don't know, the sun's coming out. Do I want an SL?
Then
I
get a
want an SL now. Yeah, but maybe I do. I don't know. Mercedes makes so many cars.
Yeah, it's a huge choice.
It's just a bit hard to choose.
I'd have one which you can't buy just yet in right-hand drive form, but very, very soon. What we used to call the G-Wagon, which is now the G-Class, the 63 AMG.
I will urge some caution here, because I know there's a new one, and it's pretty much a brand new car.
Yeah, it is,
but it looks like the old one. So it'll probably be a lot better. Because the old one was absolutely shatting awful.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I had one. I borrowed one for a while. It was fantastic. It was like driving a wobbly truck in the 1970s.
I know, but that's the thing. It was all wobbly. And I speak as a Defender
really
driver.
It to me.
It's more wobbly. I was in the AMG one in Germany with a proper Helmsreich at the wheel, Ben Barry from Car Magazine, if you know his stuff. And Ben knows what he's doing when it comes to driving cars. And he was driving because I was feeling a bit unwell, having stayed out late the night before. And we were going up this straight, wet road when suddenly sort of a bend that was unexpectedly tightening radius came upon us. And Ben turned in, and then I heard him go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Because
they don't turn.
They don't turn. It was absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
But that's
and I drove it later, and I was shocked at how.
I'm not. As you know, I'm not the biggest fan of big.
I mean, I think they look incredibly cool, but they're sort of
in a sort of brutal, silly kind of way, though.
But the best thing about that car is the door locks of any car I've ever experienced. You click that button, the sound of the central locking, it's like
a vault in a central bank, sort of,
No, you'd love this even more. It's like
it's like the whole of the Red Army cocking their rifles at the same time.
Exactly, yeah.
It's sort of both reassuring and terrifying at the same time.
I wish I'd recorded it.
Squad of.
It's actually shutting the doors. I'm sure they've improved the panel fits. Actually, weirdly, I sat in the new one at the show, and they haven't improved the panel fits. I think they've deliberately left it with that very clunky lock on it. So to shut the door and make sure it shuts properly, you have to really give it a walloping slam. And I borrowed the diesel G-Wagon yonks ago, and I realised all my neighbours must have thought I was in a foul temper every time I came home, because I got used to just getting out and go wham like that. Even my bloody Land Rover doesn't need that. It's odd how I don't like them very much, and yes, I love a Defender.
Well, that's why
reassuringly
it's
heavy
either
door.
or, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's like if you
City or United, whatever that means.
Whatever that analogy is.
Something to do with. I don't know, hockey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hockey team.
So,
all right, very, 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 very quickly. If you had to make a choice of one car, one team, which car, which team?
If we've got to stick with the choices that we've made along the way, which I guess we do have to. Oh, crikey. I guess this is partly nostalgia for a certain age of Grand Prix racing, but I think maybe I'm going to go with Williams and my 450 SEL.
Classic.
I quite like the. Yeah.
Good choice, Sug.
Thank you.
Richard, your choice?
I can't get past the fact that I absolutely love the 458 Speciale, and if they can provide me with one, then I'm sticking with Ferrari. If they can't, screw them. I'm not interested in anything else, relatively speaking, so I'll go to somewhere else.
You've got all the top teams.
McLaren.
So
it's just actually, but I've got to be a driver for McLaren. I don't know whether I want to do that as a team, but a 570 GT S-Pack, whatever it's called, would be just an everyday car that's also a supercar. Have that.
Me, I'll be in that pink Gen X Tata Nano, and I'll be the coolest of all three of us.
No, that's simply not true. Zog is the coolest of all of us in his old Merc. That's just a fact.
I think we can agree. We agree on that at least.
I don't think the McLaren's particularly cool, but you are cool.
Yeah. I'll break down first.
Thomas Nissen, thank you very much for a brilliant idea, for a great discussion of utter nonsense. If you've got any suggestions and things you'd like us to talk about on the programme, do write to us.
It's Reg Nissen. Sorry.
Do write to us at onspeed@garethjones.tv. Then, hush!
Gareth Jones on speed.
Father, my name is Eric Boulier. I am not normally a religious man. However, I come to you today not to confess my sins, but to ask you a question.
Go on.
Why has the Lord forsaken us, Father? We changed our engines, and now we are slower than the team using the old ones we got rid of because they were so terrible. Tell me, Father, were our targets too low?
Furnish me with a greater quantity of data regarding your suboptimal performance.
What?
Tell me more about how it's not going well.
But why, Father? Does the Lord need to hear of our suffering?
Affirmative. It is for this exactitude of reasons and not whatsoever because yours truly finds aspects of this situational scenario inclusive of a high level of mirth.
Wait, Father, have we met before?
Negative.
Your voice, it seems a little familiar.
I repeat, negative.
So why is our team doing so badly still?
The issues you have described to myself appear to be extant because you have been worshipping a false god.
A false god?
Affirmative. The one you call Zach.
Mon Dieu!
Your exclamation contains a high level of certainliness.
So what should we do?
Re-employerate the true god, for he is the one known as Ron.
Wait a second.
As such, I will see you in the office at 8 a.m. on Monday. Make sure my old office is clean. Really clean.
Before we go, I think we've got to mention the fact that, Richard, you've got a book out.
I've got a book out.
A fantastic,
this is a bit
funny
different.
book. I've been reading it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, really quickly. This is not the normal sort of stuff. I do sort of TV cash-in books and all that sort of stuff. But this is a book that I've written myself and published myself through Amazon and their print-on-demand stuff.
It's a sniff petrol cash-in as opposed to a
sniff petrol cash-in, yes.
Which you're allowed to do.
There's almost no cash-in. In fact, there's no cash-in at all. I'm out of pocket because various things are getting someone to proofread it and giving away review copies to magazines and things. So I'm on a hiding to nothing here. But years ago, I started doing the Roy Lanchester character on Sniff Petrol.
We love Roy
Venal,
Lanchester.
entitled, unpleasant, alcoholic car journalist. Write about what you know. And I sort of thought of everything that I do on Sniff Petrol sort of with made-up characters. He's the only one who's got any sort of mileage in him because he's not just a catchphrase with a few more words around it. And encouraged by a few people, including Alex Goy, friend of the show. Thanks, Alex. I thought I'll do a book. And Alex was one of the people who very kindly went, no, you really should. I think it'd be worthwhile because I'd like to read it. And so I have. I used my time late at night with having a small baby and staying up late to write.
You've written his entire life, you've written incidents, you've written attitudes and racism. It's a very broad read, isn't it?
Careful. He is, as a character, he's a man of a certain generation who probably says and thinks things that are not necessarily acceptable in the modern world, but part of what makes him both appalling and yet hopefully sort of amusing is the fact that he's blissfully unaware of how dreadful he is. Yeah. And so, it is his story of his early life and then how he became a car journalist, how he maintained being a car journalist, what happened in his heyday when he was a Fleet Street journalist and he used to go on all the top car launches in the 80s when money was spent and private jets and all this, and how he abused his position there.
Glory days.
His 3 failed marriages, the time he became a judge on an international car excellence award and messed that up. when he became a celebrity judge for a local car show. All of these little snapshots from his terrible fictional
I was reading
life.
a few pages earlier, and very funny stuff.
So it's a proper book, and
Where'd you get it?
It's only available through Amazon because it's done on Kindle Direct, which is their sort of self-publishing service, and it's an ebook or it's a paperback as well.
And you can read samples.
Yeah, there's a page on Sniff Petrol. You can read a few little samples and stuff, and I'm just pleased by it. Right,
and what's it called? What is the title?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. See, you want to be my marketing manager. It's called How to Be a Motoring Journalist.
There we go.
I should have written that, shouldn't I? How? And that's probably how for now. You've been listening to Richard Porter or Roy Lanchester. He's a Yorkshireman, isn't he?
He's from Harrogate, yes.
Has he got a Harrogate accent?
Harrogate accent, yes.
Has he got a whistle?
I don't know whether he has got a whistle, but he smokes, so he's got a very deep voice.
Whistle and a bit of
There's a thing, you won't like this, but there's a line in the book where he's saying that he believes he's got a natural voice for radio because surveys show that people like a Yorkshire accent, especially in Yorkshire. And he doesn't know why they don't put more call centres in Yorkshire rather than in places with accents no one can understand, such as India or Wales.
Same accent. You've also been listening to Zog.
Goodbye.
And I was Gareth. I'm going to leave you with a tune. I went to see The Damned. Do you remember The Damned?
Of course. Dave Banyan and others.
Brilliant. Went to see them the other week. They were shockingly fantastic. I had no idea how good they were going to be. I came away inspired and wrote a song in the style of The Damned, or in my case, The Darned. And this is a song about wealthy gentleman drivers at Le Mans and other 24-hour races in the GT class. It's called Dangerous. See ya.
Sorts of shapes and sizes, no regard for safety or aerodynamic devices. It's just one of those things that racing with me brings. If I overtake you, I'll snap off one of your wings. The night is dark and full of terrors, no night vision, terrible weather, it is dangerous out there when I'm aboard. Citizen beware, it is dangerous on the road. Spectacular, if it's speed you want, then I'm not lacking. I'm way in front of you, my nemesis. In terms of financial backing, the most dangerous thing about me is not that I might crash. It's a fact that I earned this right to race with pocketfuls of cash. The night is dark and full of terrors, no night vision, terrible weather, it is dangerous out there when I'm aboard. Citizen beware, it is dangerous on the road. And the circuit pillars are where the darker night is cooler than the Marquis de Sade. Every race a hazardous day. This will be my night. I'm the god of darkness, and you'll perish in my mind. You won't know if I'll go left or right. You'd see me coming in the day. I'll slide through you like a rapier might. Be very afraid. The night is dark and full of terrors. No night vision, terrible weather. It is dangerous out there when I'm aboard. Citizen beware, it is dangerous on the road. Dangerous on the road. On the road. Seek out the light. Don't go to the dark place. Seek out the
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!